This one's gonna be a tough one to review. Hey everyone, Davey here, back again to review the newest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. post Captain America the Winter Soldier. Oh my god. And this is episode 17 of season 1, entitled Turn, Turn, Turn. There's no way I'm saying the title of this episode without saying it the way Bill Paxton did in, I can't remember if it was the previous episode or the episode before that, but it was Bill Paxton's character, Garrett, who said that line. And I can't say the title of this episode without saying it like he did in that episode. Turn, turn, turn. It's funny, I started watching a show called Turn recently. And a humongous warning, if you have not seen this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Captain America the Winter Soldier, spoilers for both of those are going to follow in this video. And that's a huge shame because I'm probably going to turn off a few people, especially the people who have not seen Captain America, because I understand that some people went to go see the movie but they don't watch the show, or some people are currently watching the show because it's on TV. They could just watch it on TV without having to go through the trouble to go to the movie theater and pay all this money to watch the movie and have to choose a seat and be there on time, that sort of thing. They could just stay at home, relaxed, in the comfort of their own home. So I understand that there are some people who have seen one thing but they haven't seen the other, so I feel the need to warn you that there's no way I'm going to be able to talk about this episode without talking about both of those things, because, like Twitter dictates, it's all connected. So if you have not seen the new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Captain America the Winter Soldier, please go watch them and then come back. You're gone? All those people gone? Good. Let's talk about this shit. So the episode starts off with Agent Garrett listening to Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. Can it get any more badass? More cowbell! But then S.H.I.E.L.D. drones try to take him out, and that's where we get reminded, oh right, some stuff is going down at S.H.I.E.L.D. And for those of us who have seen Captain America the Winter Soldier, we kind of have an idea of what's going on. And that's one of the things that I really liked about this episode, is that they didn't really prolong the big reveal that S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra in disguise until like the next episode or the episode after that. No, they went ahead and said, you seen the movie? Okay, good. Here it is. And for Captain America the Winter Soldier, it was something that I loved. It was something that, like I stated in the review, it's something that was lacking from Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World. It's a game changer. It's something that's just gonna change the course of the Marvel universe, or at least the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I mean, like I stated in the review, Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty safe for now because it takes place in a galaxy. But for our actual heroes that are still on Earth, like Iron Man and Hulk and the Captain himself, things are going to be completely different. And we can't wait for Avengers 2 to come around to let us know what's going on now, especially Nick Fury. But that change in this episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. post Captain America is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's good to keep that momentum that the show has been having, that because by the end of this episode, I feel like more people need to watch this show, not only to keep up with what's going on in the Marvel Universe, but also because it's picking up its momentum, and it's actually making it a show that I feel the need to go to people and have that water cooler conversation and say, hey, there's this show called Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You have to watch it. It's connected with all those recent Marvel movies, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. You gotta check it out. It's on ABC. It's on Tuesday. It's deserving that merit. And one of the other good things about it is that, being that these people are on this ship that are far and away from the Triskelion and everything that's going on with Captain America and Alexander Pierce, they treat it and they write it in a way that's kind of realistic. They don't know everything. They just figured out that S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra in a somewhat convenient form by having Sky hack the system, and I'll get to the conveniences of this episode later on and what I didn't like about it. But I do say that I like that they kind of scratched the surface when it comes to the big reveal that S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually Hydra in disguise, and they didn't go into every single detail about Project Insight, about all these things with Alexander Pierce and what Nick Fury might be up to. As far as the characters know, he's dead, and us as audience members go, yeah, right, especially after watching the new Captain America. I like that they went ahead and they wrote it in a realistic fashion where they don't know everything because they're over there and Captain America's over here doing his own thing with Falcon and Black Widow. I love that. But it's kind of a bad thing for people who have not seen the new Captain America movie, because they're just going to be just as lost as the characters in the show. And on top of that, they show a brief glimpse at the helicarriers going down through a monitor and having Agent Hand saying, Captain America has taken down the helicarriers, and I feel like that's a bit of a spoiler for those who have not seen Captain America. It wasn't a spoiler for me, and it didn't bug me because I have seen the movie. But for those who have not had a chance to see the movie just yet, I mean, I have a friend who just barely saw the movie today, as of this video on Tuesday night. He barely saw the movie today. So imagine if he went ahead and saw the episode, but he didn't get a chance to see the movie because something came out and he wasn't able to see it until like tomorrow or Thursday. It would have been spoiled for him. So I feel like they should have written it in a way where they didn't have that one line saying, "Oh yeah, Captain America took everything, he saved the world," blah. They even reference Alexander Pierce without name dropping him by the form of Agent Garen saying, "Hey, top brass needed us to take you out." So I did like the little slight subtle reference to Pierce calling all the shots on top of the Triskelion. But I wish that they would have just cut out that one line by hand who said Captain America saved the world. The image on the monitor of the helicarrier going down would have been enough. But the episode was intense, and there were certain moments where they went ahead and gave the actors their moment to shine as actors. That moment where Fitz is crying because he feels like right there and then his life is actually going to end. I actually felt kind of scared for his character, even though in the end I felt like it was going to be okay. And Agent May's sudden breakdown of her true feelings for Coulson when she reveals to him that, hey, I was the one who kind of put the team together, not because I was doing it for Fury, but because I love you. You know, that's practically what she said without actually saying it. I like that. And I do like Coulson and May rather than Ward and May. I actually do prefer Ward and Skye, even though I will admit I wish we had some more time to really flesh that relationship out and make us actually care, because when we cut to that scene of them in the room and them kind of confessing to one another that, yeah, I kind of like you too, I was okay with it. It didn't bother me, but there were plenty of opportunities in the season thus far. I mean, we're on episode 17. There were plenty of opportunities to really flesh that out so that we genuinely felt the like between these two characters. And to be honest, I think this episode delivered that sense of paranoia that we had by the end of Captain America, where we just don't know who to trust. I mean, at some point it looked like Trip was also one of them, which I kind of saw coming, but then it turns out like he's not, so I was like, okay. And I'll go ahead and use this as my segue to what I didn't like about this episode so much, which made it just an episode that came a little short to last week's episode, and that is that I didn't really like a couple of the twists in this episode. The first one with Hydra being S.H.I.E.L.D, I was okay with it. It wasn't that surprising because I have seen the movie, but for those who didn't see it coming, I felt like that was a really good twist that caught them by surprise. The other two did catch me by surprise, but I'm not a huge fan of them. I don't hate them, but I wish they would have gone a different way or would have had a much more solid explanation, but that's what I'm hoping for future episodes to do. The first one would be Garrett being the clairvoyant and Agent Hand not actually being Hydra like we were led to believe at the end of last week's episode. I wish they actually went ahead and stayed true with those characters, with Garrett being a badass good guy and Agent Hand being the true mistress or whatever the hell, because she just had that look like she could have been evil. I mean, those red streaks in her hair, evil. So when it turns out that they're actually the opposite, Hand is actually the good guy in this case, or good girl, and Garrett is actually the real clairvoyant, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I don't know. I wish they would have just stayed true with those characters. I would have loved to have just seen Hand in that seat and Garrett overlooking Ward instead of the other way around. And then the second twist with Ward. This Ward boy, man, just don't give him a gun. Don't give Ward a gun. That should be like a new meme or something. Don't give Ward a gun. I mean, yeah, we have all these memes out there with people whispering in each other's ears saying, "Hail Hydra," but you know, just don't give Ward a gun. Alright, things are not going to end well if you give Ward a gun from now on. Because first we had him kill an innocent man, and now we have, out of nowhere, him killing those two guards along with Hand, and it turns out that he's in cahoots with Garrett. Which is not necessarily nonsensical considering that he was his SO, and it does make him killing the fake or the decoy clairvoyant played by Brad Dourif. I had no idea that was Brad Dourif. If you guys don't know who Brad Dourif, you've heard him. He's Chucky from the 80s. Ward killing Nash, played by Brad Dourif, the catatonic man in last week's episode, it does make a little more sense, but it does require more thinking. Like, okay, if I were to think of anything as to why he would kill a catatonic man who would have no way of speaking other than this computer, which is clearly being controlled by Garrett through his Hydra minions back at S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. Like I said, you kind of have to come up with explanations for this, and I think the explanation that you could come up with having Ward kill the catatonic man would be that he wouldn't. He just wanted to to tie up a loose end. That's the only thing I could come up with. And it does make you think about some things that have happened in previous episodes that do feel just a little convoluted because of this twist. I mean, it made me think back to when Deathlock just burst right through the door in that apartment and tried to take out both Garrett and Triplet. But now knowing that Garrett is the clairvoyant, why was Deathlock trying to kill him? Maybe to make it look convincing for Triplet, who is not part of Hydra. You know, it does start to tangle up a little bit, and I'm hoping they explain it a little bit better in next week's episode, knowing that Ward is clearly going to break out Garrett, and then hopefully he'll share some insight on the matter. But with the whole thing of Ward being associated with Garrett, I'm a little indifferent, and the reason because of that is because there might be some proper explanation behind all this in the next episode. Just as much as there's the chance of them completely ruining it and all being BS. I mean, it's 50-50 at this point. And don't get me wrong, it was a huge twist that definitely has me pumped, super pumped for next week's episode. But I am holding my guard up, and it does make me fear that maybe the producers and the writers will get a little carried away with twists. And if you oversaturate your show with twists and having a twist at the end of every episode, that sure, it'll get people watching from episode to episode, week to week, but it'll just be oversaturated with twists and they'll lose their value and the show will eventually become stupid. But there were some positive things about the ending. It does leave the storyline completely open for Agent Garrett, and hopefully we'll see some more Bill Paxton. I mean, he's not necessarily new to shows. He was on that one called Big Love, which was on for like 3 or 4 seasons, and he received numerous accolades for. So I'm hoping to see more of Bill Paxton's character, even though it turns out that he was a bad guy instead of a good guy. And I'll admit, I got some chills seeing the Hydra logo at the end of the episode instead of the S.H.I.E.L.D. logo. I was like, oh man, this is for real. My only last complaint about the episode would be the aforementioned conveniences of this episode. There were some bits that were written in a way that were convenient for the plot, or just some things that I didn't feel like they weren't paying attention to. I couldn't count the amount of times where there were numerous guards that had guns and rifles and whatnot, and they didn't use them. I mean, I know you're not supposed to shoot our main characters because they're supposed to succeed, but it's kind of tough to root for our protagonists when they're going up against some rather idiotic bad guys where they're not using their guns properly. They have numerous windows of opportunity to be able to use their guns and take these people out, but they don't, for the convenience of the plot. And there were also some other conveniences written within the story. Like I said, that scene with Skye and Ward inside the closet or whatever the hell that was, and them having this long conversation about their feelings for one another when somebody could easily just walk in and catch them, and surprisingly nobody does. Again, very convenient. And because this is a TV show and they know that maybe some kids are watching and they don't have the staple or the stamp of PG-13 like Captain America does, they can't show anybody being killed like they did in the movie. So they show people being taken prisoner instead of actually being shot down like Hydra is supposed to do, because they illustrate Hydra to be this huge, menacing, threatening thing, but instead they're just taking people prisoner and not shooting them when they're supposed to. And how in the hell would Ward, being that he's a double agent of some kind, would have gotten the best opportunity possible by having Hand say, hey, you want to shoot this guy since you shot the wrong guy first? So despite not being as strong as last week's episode, I do feel like this episode continues the momentum that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been developing, and it does raises questions, but the right kind of questions, the questions that makes us want to keep watching another episode of the show, and then hopefully that one will plant some more seeds in our brain that will make us want to watch the next episode, and then so on and so forth, and maybe we'll have a hit on our hands. It's a shame, it took them like 15 episodes to do so, but hopefully they found their momentum and they're gonna stick with it. But for now, I will go ahead and give Turn, episode 17 of season 1, a 8 out of 10. But a really strong 8 out of 10, and one that just keeps me being hooked to this show and sticking with it. And I ultimately have faith in the writers and the producers of giving us a good show that could be considered part of Marvel canon. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, and I'll see you guys next week with my review of episode 18. Take care.